Now, the rest of the story. I'm going to show you the most exquisitely complicated astronomical mechanical clock anywhere. It was inspired by the Norwegian Clockmakers Guild. Its creator, thus inspired, was Rasmus Sorens. He was born in 1893 near the town of Stavanger in southern Norway. He was a farm boy. He taught himself mechanical craft. Creating the world's most incredible clock became a lifelong challenge. Rasmus had made 3 astronomical clocks before embarking on his masterpiece timepiece in 1958. He was then 65. But today, admiring clockmakers worldwide recognize it as the Rasmus Sorens clock, and you would not believe it if you saw it. The intricate mechanism, visible from 4 sides, stands in a 6.5-foot tall dust-proof glass showcase. At the top of the clock is a precise simulation of solar and lunar movement. A main drive and 7 auxiliary drives are required for that part alone. But there is also a Julian calendar, a daily calendar starting January 1, 4713 B.C. Other dials tell universal time, local mean time, standard and daylight saving time. Sidereal or star time is indicated on one of the dials. Time of sunrise, sunset, and so-called sun south are also indicated, as are solar time and time of the tides. And we're still in the upper section of the clock now. There's a calendar which takes into account each month's uneven number of days, and leap years and non-leap years, of course. And in the clock's lower section, an impressive representation of the solar system. And also the Norwegian names of the zodiac appear in a large transparent glass dial. And behind that dial are 2 spheres, an Earth globe and a star globe depicting the various constellations. The Earth globe has a double movement. It rotates once every 24 hours. It follows the Earth's axis inclination through the year. The star globe, operating on sidereal time, makes a complete revolution every 25,800 years, while accounting for the precession of the Earth's axis. The Rasmus Sorens clock is a pendulum clock, but with the push of a button, the weights are electrically rewound. It took Sorens 9 years to complete it, shortly after which he passed away. And as I say, that clock, which was his crowning achievement, was inspired by the Norwegian Clockmakers Guild. Well, before he began working on that astronomical clock, Rasmus Sorens was determined to create the world's most incredible chronograph, to spite the Clockmakers Guild, the members of which thought him unworthy of them. The Guild believed that young self-taught Sorens was not good enough even to become a member. And so he decided to build the most fabulous clock anywhere just to show the members of the Norwegian Clockmakers Guild, who would not let him in, and have not let him in to this day. But now you know the rest of the story.
And now, the rest of the story. Rasmus Sorens was born into a somewhat poor farming family in Sola, Norway in March of 1893. Rasmus had 4 younger brothers and a sister. His mother died shortly after the birth of his little sister, and Rasmus's father raised the children himself. As a young boy, Rasmus loved to tinker with things. He wanted to know how things worked. But Rasmus took it a step further. He began making improvements on existing items and often skipped school if he was working on something that he thought was better use of his time. Rasmus built several machines for use on the family farm, such as an electric water pump, a combustion engine with electric ignition and water cooling system, and a turbine power plant. Even with his absences from school, Rasmus got good grades and set his sights on becoming a watchmaker. To achieve his goal, he applied to be a watchmaker's apprentice, but his application was denied for 2 reasons. First, his hands were much larger than the petite hands that most watchmakers had. Second, he was the son of a farmer. What could a large-handed son of a farmer do besides farm? Rasmus was bitter by the rejection, but there wasn't much he could do about it. Not yet, anyway. While in his mid-teens, he took a job assembling bicycles at a factory. The work was mind-numbing repetition, and Rasmus hated it. There was no room for experimentation. After 6 grueling months of monotony, Rasmus got a job in the mechanical workshop where he worked for about a year. In his late teens, he got a job as an electrician's apprentice. After 2 years, he earned a certification as a full-fledged electrician. Now, had he been content with his job as an electrician, we may never have heard of Rasmus or his clocks. But he was anything but content. He had a curious mind that refused to be held back by large hands and being just the son of a farmer. Rasmus studied advanced mathematics, astronomy, and physics. He became so astute in the sciences that he collaborated with university research communities and often lectured on a variety of topics, including the sciences, optics, and his passion, clockmaking. Now, keep in mind that his only formal education was as an electrician. He designed and built a tractor for the family farm, which was more advanced and efficient than anything available on the market at the time. He designed, built, and patented a chicken incubator, a device which separated milk and cream, and corrugated diaphragms for speakers. Rasmus's patents were overlooked by the commercial industry during his lifetime, but those corrugated diaphragms for loudspeakers, those became the industry standard that we still use today. His electrician certification enabled him to get a job as a technician at a local radio station. And in 1922, he started his own radio station, which we would call a pirate radio station, which he broadcast every night from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. For 2 hours, Rasmus read the news and his wife sang. There was no pre-recorded music. Everything was live. Now, to ensure that he had listeners, Rasmus gave friends and neighbors radio receivers. In 1931, Rasmus built a new house for his wife and children, which had an alarm system, electric lights, radio transmitter, and a telephone between his workshop and the main house, way ahead of his time. During World War II, Rasmus built a radio transmitter for clandestine communications, which historians described as a masterpiece of technical elegance and intelligent camouflage. At around the same time, he designed a solar-powered radio-controlled engine for lighthouses. Solar power in 1940s? As I said, Rasmus was ahead of his time. But despite all of the things he invented or improved upon, his lifelong passion was clocks. In 1937, Rasmus completed his first astronomical clock. His clock number 1, a mantelpiece clock, showed standard and Greenwich time, all solar and lunar cycles and phases, the Julian calendar, high and low tides, sunset, sunrise. But it wasn't as accurate as he wanted it to be. Because it used the Julian calendar, it gained one day each 128 years. It failed to account for leap year. Now, most of us would have accepted that as a win. One day in 128 years, who's going to miss it? Another key feature of this clock was that Rasmus could run the clock forward or backward to examine previous astronomical events and to predict them. Clock number 1 is owned by the Sorens family and is on temporary display at the Inspirius Science Center in Sarpsborg, Norway. Now, immediately after completing clock number 1, Rasmus began working on clock number 2. It was larger than clock number 1 while still being a mantelpiece clock. It's a functioning clock, sure, but Rasmus never completed the clock's finish and decorations. Most people who have researched Rasmus's clocks have concluded that he realized it was just too small to incorporate everything he wanted. It also used the Julian calendar and was too inaccurate to suit Rasmus. Clock number 2 is on display at the Borgersissel Museum in Sarpsborg, Norway. While working on clock number 2, Rasmus began designing his much larger clock number 3, which he completed in 1954. It had even more features than his first 2 clocks, was more accurate, and included not a Julian calendar, but a Gregorian calendar, which took leap year into account. Now it's the Gregorian calendar that we use these days. Like clock number 2, clock number 3 could be driven forward or backwards at a speed of about 8 days per minute. Take a look at this. In this clip, Rasmus's clock number 3 is driven forward. Notice him pointing at the 3 globes which show the position of the sun and moon, the stars, as well as solar and lunar eclipses. Like clock number 2, clock number 3 is also on display at the Borger Sissel Museum in Sarpsborg, Norway. To get an even more accurate clock with more features, Rasmus began constructing clock number 4. Now this is the clock that Mr. Harvey told us about earlier. Rather than just a clock, this one has been described as a mechanical real-time model of the solar system. It's fascinating in its accuracy. Now I told you where you could see the first 3 clocks for yourself, but it's a different story with clock number 4 because we don't know where it is. You see, in 1967, clock number 4 went on display at the Time Museum in Rockford, Illinois. Some sources claim the Sorens family sold the clock to the Time Museum. But the Time Museum closed in 1999 and the clock was put on display in Chicago's Museum of Science and Industry. In 2002, the clock was sold by Sotheby's auction house in New York for $295,000 to a buyer who wanted to remain anonymous. People all around the world have been trying to determine who bought that clock and where it is today. If you have any idea, let me know in the comments. Rasmus considered his first 2 clocks his test objects. The last 2 are considered masterpieces. They are among the most complex clocks ever built. Most modern watches are considered extremely accurate if they're off by 10 seconds per day at most. High-end mechanical watches with chronometer certification lose their gain from 4 to 6 seconds per day to be considered accurate. Rasmus's clock number 4 is only off 7 seconds every, not day, not week, not month or year, every 1,000 years. 7 seconds every 1,000 years. Wow. Rasmus Sorens clocks are functioning works of art. And he created all those intricate pieces and made them work in concert to produce clocks which were accurate over millennia without access to professional clockmaking tools. He even had to make his own tools. It's hard to hold a determined person back, even if he was a large-handed son of a farmer. Now you know we can learn a lot from Rasmus Sorens. With a fraction of the determination Rasmus Sorens had, imagine the things that we could accomplish today. I'm Brad Dison. Thanks for watching. And now you know the rest of the story.